Welcome back. While we're all staying home and staying safe, many of us have found ourselves trying to learn how to DIY beauty tasks we normally leave to the pros, like removing our acrylic nails, grooming our own eyebrows. It's gotten real ugly up in here, and even cutting our own hair. Now, if you haven't yet, but are considering it, please put down the scissors and first watch this next segment. You've probably seen that people have been sharing their at-home haircutting fails, and if they make you cringe, imagine how a professional hairstylist feels watching them. Actually, don't imagine it. Just watch these videos of our own Jason Lee.
I'm going to cut my own hair, so I'm going to give you a few tips.
Shoot, this is not going to be even at all.
Okay? And then I'm going to take a big gob of it right here. And I'm just going to cut it off like that. Literally, hack it. You can tidy it up later on. See, that's a nice straight line. Did you see that?
It's the tipping of the glasses. It sends me every time, the sipping of the juice. I cannot. Jason is joining us now to save you from becoming the latest viral haircut fail. I love that you do these videos on your Instagram. We need your help. We want to make sure that our viewers don't have any scissor regrets like the folks on your Instagram page. So we need to talk about this. How do we approach trimming our own bangs and our ends at home?
Yeah, well, it's a crazy time. People's bangs have certainly grown out, and ends are starting to split, that's for sure. So what I thought I would do is first talk a little bit about what happens if you don't feel confident to trim your own bangs. I mean, it's very daunting to take a pair of scissors. Not everybody has the confidence of all those people on those videos where things go wrong. So the first thing I would do, first let me bring in my friend. And I thought I would just demonstrate first what would happen if you just approached your bangs differently. I know, isn't she? And so the idea is what happens if you don't cut the hair? At this point, the bangs have definitely grown out. And I think the way to approach it is more just, can we style it differently? So when your bangs are a little bit longer, if you blow dry the hair back with a smaller round brush, what will end up happening is that the bangs will eventually kind of split a little bit. Or if you blow dry it completely to one side, you'll get a bit of a side swept bang, which is really cool. But that said, let's talk about cutting the bangs. Cutting bangs or cutting your split ends, the number one thing I would suggest is probably not to use kitchen scissors, and there's a reason for that. They tend to be bulky, they tend to be a little dull, you're cutting plastic with it, at times different materials that are not meant for hair. So I would opt for something a little bit more, dainty, like a shear or a scissor. And what we're going to do, we're going to just talk first about how to approach trimming your own bangs. So number one, you want to section out where the bangs have been that your hairstylist has already created for you. They're probably quite long at this point, but you need to find where that guideline is that they've created, because you don't want to start going too far back. If you see any like long pieces, don't cut them, because what'll end up happening is that you'll get bangs that start way at the back, and that may or may not be what you're going for. So the first thing to remember is when you're going to be trimming your bangs, minimal tension. You're not pulling the bangs down, otherwise you will get one of those fails that you saw, because the bangs can jump right back up. You'll also notice that the hair is completely dry. And the reason why you do that is for the exact same reason. Is if you wet down your hair and you go to cut, when you go to dry, you might see that jumps back up, or you might have a cowlick, and the cowlick will kind of give you, it'll be really hard to work with once it dries, and anybody who has one understands that. So the first thing is you pull very gently, no tension, very little tension, and all we're really doing is just point cutting into the fringe, okay? And you're just gonna follow this line around, and when you get to the sides, I would highly recommend going down as opposed to going up. If you go up, you're gonna get a very severe look, which is super cool, but may or may not be what you're going for. And then the last tip that I would say is when you cut your bangs, don't pull them out directly like this, because if you do, when they drop down, it'll be very wispy, and that again may or may not be what you're going for. If you have curly hair, if you have a 4C type curl, you know already that you can't pull the bangs too tight. I would start by styling the hair dry, and then in the way that you want it to be, and then I would just kind of like cut into it a little bit. And just kind of shape it the way that you want it to be. Now let's talk a little bit, I have another friend, let's talk a little bit about approaching trimming and split ends. what I would do is I would start off by sectioning the hair into 4 quadrants, and then just grab the hair and just kind of comb it up like this, and you'll see just like little split ends, and all you're doing is just kind of cleaning them out just a little bit. And you can go through the hair, just make sure it's balanced on both sides, go through the hair, check out some of the layers, and just keep kind of trimming up, dusting up the ends just a little bit. If you follow some of these tips, you should, if you keep these in mind, you should be able to get yourself through until the next coveted visit to the hair salon. So those are my tips for you to suggest in terms of trimming up your own hair.
Well, I love that our experts probably watch our other experts, because I saw Bahar do it on Instagram and she followed those tips. I think she was not a fail. I think she did a good job cutting her hair. Thank you so much for that, Jason.